1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Real Men of Real Estate radio show. I'm your host today, Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. And when you tune into my show, you're going to learn how to build passive monthly cash flow and create true financial freedom by investing in mortgage notes. You'll learn how to collect cash flow from real estate without actually owning the real estate. I mean, who really wants to deal with tenants and toilets and termites or any of the other troubles associated with being a landlord? So listen, I plan to bring amazing experts on the show so that you all can get a well-rounded view of note investing and possibly change your financial future for the better and leave a better financial legacy. So y'all know financial intelligence is what I preach, but note investing is what I teach. And on today's show, we are lucky to have two fine gentlemen that I know very well. They have a company called PaperStack, and we're going to get into that. But paperstack.com is a place where individuals, just like you listeners, can go onto their website and you can buy a mortgage note as an investment. Okay, but some people may not even know what I'm talking about, and we're going to introduce these guys here in a minute. I got Brett Berkey and Rick Allen. They're from paperstack.com. They're my guests on the show. You're not going to want to miss a minute of what these guys have to say because it's an awesome opportunity. But before I let them come on and introduce themselves, what opportunity is it that we are going to be talking about today, right? The opportunity of note investing. What does that mean, right? We talk about mortgage note investing, but a mortgage note is just a promissory note that people fill out when they borrow money to buy a property, right? Buy a house. That's called a promissory note. And it spells out the terms in which that money is to be borrowed and paid back. There's another document called a mortgage document. The borrowers, the people who get a loan from the bank to buy a house, we as borrowers fill out a mortgage document and give it to the bank. And it says we're pledging our physical piece of real estate as collateral in case we don't pay back based on the terms of that promissory note. Does that sound about right, guys?
That's it, man. You nailed it. You sound like you teach this stuff.
I teach it. I teach it at the noteinvestoruniversity.com. A lot of people on the show may go to my website and check out the coaching and all that. And, you know, I want to coach people, right? It's a team effort in this industry, right, Brett and Rick? I'm going to coach a whole bunch of people, newbies, into the note investing industry. And for crying out loud, I don't have enough notes in my own personal portfolio to sell them. You know, and so for as many coaches like me are in the industry teaching new note investors how to become an expert in this field, it's going to be creating a lot more customers for people like you guys at PaperStack because you're a great place to buy these notes, right? But digress for a moment and talk about when we buy a mortgage note as an investor, right? What we're doing is we're taking over future promised payments. And so when we talk about collecting cash flow from real estate, without owning the real estate, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about taking the place of a bank, right? For years and years, banks and large funds, hedge funds and such have been making tons of money off of real estate without actually owning the real estate. And so I just want to let everybody know when we buy a mortgage note, we're investing in the future promised payments. That's what we're buying. We're buying a future payment stream. And so it's kind of like if you bought a house and then you put a renter in there as a tenant and you acted as a landlord and you started collecting rent. Well, you're getting paid every month from that real estate, but you have to have those headaches associated with being the landlord, right? Every time a toilet leaks or a water heater breaks, you get the phone call. Probably have to suffer some expense and maintenance costs as well, which takes away from your ROI. And so a lot of people are into talking about passive income these days. We hear this term passive income all the time. And I love to sit people down and tell them, guys, there's no passive income. There's no way to have pure passive life where you just sit and do nothing and you just money comes in. It's almost impossible. Even when you start making good money in sort of a passive business, you still have to manage your money. Okay. You still have to maintain to make sure your business is still running well. So nothing is totally passive. But when I'm talking about an investment that is a fairly safe investment, an investment that has a fairly nice yield to it, and an investment that produces monthly cash flow, which are three pretty neat things to find in one investment. It's very rare. When we talk about that, though, how neat is it that most of the time people pay their mortgage payments on time? By rule of thumb, most of the time it happens that way. And so when you buy a note instead of a rental property, you're buying the promissory note, taking the place of the bank, and now that borrower living in the home owes you their mortgage payment every month. And so if you can imagine, as an investor, you're collecting a monthly mortgage payment with interest and profit every single month that hits your bank account. But when the water heater breaks or the toilet has a leak, they don't call you. Right? What homeowner that's living at their house that's a homeowner calls the banker at Wells Fargo, because that's who their loan's with, to say, my toilet's got a leak. Can you send somebody over to fix it? It's kind of funny, right? So that's mortgage note investing, folks, is what we're trying to preach about here. But it's a really, really wonderful investment vehicle for some of us that have been doing investments and dealing with raising capital for over 20 years and such. I've never really seen a better investment vehicle, to be honest. By way of safety, again, yield and cash flow all combined in one spot. But I'd go ahead and bring you guys on, man, because, you guys both got into notes in a different manner, right? And again, folks, I have Brett Berkey, Rick Allen. They're from paperstack.com. Hey, guys, how do you spell paperstack.com?
Just how it sounds, or just no K. So it's paperstac.com.
That's right. So PAPERSTAC.
Yeah,
He's got the shirt on if you're able to watch the video footage here. But for you on the radio, Paper Stack without the K, right? Paperstack.com. And this is such a cool thing. I don't want to get too far into PaperStack just yet, but let's maybe say, how'd you guys get into notes? Let me ask you that. Let's start with Rick, right? Rick, how'd you get into note investing, and when was this?
So it was about a decade ago. I owned in 2008, I started my own real estate investment company as the market's crashing, that we were going to start sourcing inventory, doing some wholesale stuff, building a rental portfolio, fix and flips. And I did that for about 3 years, until the end of 11. I think we did around 400 houses in the time, and the market started to constrict. People like Blackstone were going to the auction, paying 105% of the market value on a property, which kind of squeezes out the little guys. There was still plenty of inventory, but at the time I was getting tired. My other partner, TJ, was getting tired. And so we said, well, let's sell off the company to our third partner. We're going to go do our own thing, some small fix and flips, really going to have a lifestyle business, play some golf, raise my kids. That lasted about 3 months, and an asset manager called me and said, hey, actually it was an REO agent called me, and he said, I have an asset manager looking to see if I know anybody that would buy a note. So I said, yeah, I'll take a look at it. It was a frame duplex in Winter Garden, Florida, just outside of Orlando, and the debt was 90 grand, and I told him I'd give him 8,000 for it. The REO agent was yelling on me on the phone. I was like, look, tell him 8 grand, and they countered me at 8,400. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. I got into it. The borrower signed the house over to us. She said she had five foreclosures going on. She didn't need another one. So she signed the house over. We listed it for $19,000 and it sold for $38,000. And that was all done within about 14 days. I literally had the title company saying, well, I need to show that you own this note. I'm like, well, okay, how do I do that? She's like, well, I need an assignment of mortgage. I go, I don't even know what you're talking about. She's like, you should have a file. And so I called up, I bought it from Condor Capital. And I asked him, I was like, hey, do you have a file for me? They're like, yeah, the collateral file will be going out. I was like, well, I already sold this. I need it. So they actually overnighted everything to my title company, who recorded that along with the quitclaim deed and the deed and everything there. So it was it was kind of a whirlwind. But when I talked to everybody else in Central Florida, I'm like, hey, do you know anything about buying notes? And they didn't know what was going on. They had no idea. So I was like, we're on to something. So we started doing it over and over again because nobody we were talking to. And, I'd been investing in distressed assets for, at that time, like 7 years. So I had a pretty good base of people I knew and nobody was buying notes. So I was like, oh, this is a huge opportunity. And so we just set sail and started doing that.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like a lot of folks didn't even know that note investing existed as an investment vehicle prior to, say, like 2009-ish.
Right.
It feels that way.
Yeah, we didn't, it was funny because in like 2008, 2009, 10, my partner and I, we were obviously, buying off the MLS for real estate. We're like, golly, unless you had a bank agent in your pocket, and, we would do that. I'd say, look, you keep both sides of the commission, you represent me, get me these houses. But the bank agents, like, we would always say, man, can you imagine if you were the bank right now? You have all these deals that everybody wants, and they're just throwing offers at you right and left. We're like, that'd be so cool. And then we had the chance. We're like, dude, we just became the bank. And that was for the longest time. We said we would, when we were raising capital, it's like, learn how to become the bank. This is how you can invest in this stuff and be the bank instead of being, like you said, instead of owning the actual real estate, you just get it, buy the real estate or buy the note, and just have the real estate sort of back it.
I love when I say, Rick, I love when I say to newer people getting into the game. A lot of people come from real estate, right? Because we specialize in buying promissory notes that are backed by single family homes. But yeah, it's amazing when you tell people that this note investing exists and they kind of don't understand. But you say, well, big banks, they've been pretty good at making money for a long time now, right? They got the big shiny buildings in all the cities. And I say, banks don't flip houses. And they kind of go, really? I never thought about it that way. And banks don't have a bunch of rental homes and act as landlords and all that for people. And so hilarious anyways, but we're going to take our first commercial break, guys, and we're going to come back after just a few minutes here and talk with Brett Berkey, Rick Allen of paperstack.com, a little bit more about why node investing is an awesome thing. You're going to want to hear about it. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career
because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA Producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA Producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken.
All right, folks. Hey, welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. I am back, Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor, and guess what? I've got these two great guests on as my guests today on this radio show, and it's Brett Berkey, Rick Allen from paperstack.com. Hey, that's Paperstack with a C, guys, right? How do you spell your website again?
PERSTAC.com.
PAPERSTAC.com. So like
You
we're
can,
we're gonna get
go ahead.
into eventually, I promise you, we're gonna get into what paper stack is and what it does, right? But
Correct.
but can you guys tell me why you think that note investing is going to continue to be a wonderful opportunity for us as investors over the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, I think for one thing, there's always notes that are on the secondary market. So it's when the real estate market's hot, there's always legacy assets. There's always owner finance notes. There's always debt for sale. But when it gets really interesting is when there's sort of a downturn, when there's a huge life event or a global event like COVID, and that begins to cause people to start missing out on their payments. And that when there's blood in the streets, when by blood in the streets, when there's a downturn, when there's, hardships, then there's more distressed debt. Then trading upticks, and it's a great opportunity to not only buy debt, but to buy it at a deep discount. And coming up, we were just at the Bankers Association meeting or conference in Orlando. They have it here, so we stopped in. And we kind of, one of the takeaways from that was, coming this fall, they're releasing about $130 billion, 160, almost $170 billion in defaulted debt. That's going to hit the market. Wow. That's it. That's just so you know, like on a given year, there's roughly 700 to 800 billion in debt that's traded, whether it's newly originated, legacy debt, owner finance, or defaulted debt. Well, they're putting out, 180 billion just this fall. You're going to see that uptick, and I think it's going to kind of continue for the next, 24 months, and that stuff's going to start filtering down from hedge funds into, onto paper stack and the smaller investors. So it's gonna hit the streets, and it's just a huge opportunity.
Yeah, and that's, I think, when we before the first break, we were talking about why most people don't know about note investing still yet today. They don't know about it. Some people listening are going, wow, this is interesting. I've never heard about this. And prior to 2008, when there was a mortgage meltdown crisis in the United States, it was kind of a small club of wealthy individuals, banks and fund managers that could write $100 million check were playing this game because they were trading in what they call pools of these notes, where you're buying 300, 500 notes at a time in one purchase. And your average investor wasn't able to, or it wasn't mainstream back then, at least for a singular investor, like someone listening, to maybe invest $50,000 of their IRA money into a note for better yield than what they're getting in their mutual fund. But that wasn't really available. And it took the mortgage meltdown to happen, right? You said blood in the streets. Well, boy, oh boy, 2007-8, there's some bleeding going on all over the place, but it creates opportunity for people that are in the right place. And if you watch the movie, folks, right, The Big Short with Christian Bale, great movie for movie watchers. But if you want to know about that mortgage meltdown in 2008, boy, what a great description of how it happened and how severe it actually was. But it flooded what we call the secondary market with tons and tons of discounted mortgage debt that banks and funds were getting off of their books, right? And so you see something similar coming down the pipe here in the next 12 to 24 months because of the COVID and all the things that have happened. There's going to be another inventory flood coming. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the things that was baked into the CARES Act that not many folks know about is the banks didn't have to report defaulted debt attributed to COVID on their books. So, you may go look and say, well, it doesn't look like there's a bunch of defaulted COVID or defaulted debt out there. Well, it's not, it doesn't have to be reported right now. And the banks that's what you're going to see, that sort of moratorium lifted, and you're going to see a bunch of inventory start being deployed into or, put into the market. And, it takes time. You're going to have large players going out there buying, $500 million chunks or $250 million chunks, and then breaking it up into $50 million chunks. But you kind of hit the nail on the head. Prior to this, you couldn't do it. You couldn't go out and buy that. You had to have that large amount of capital behind you. Well, now they're selling them off to hedge funds who are then breaking them off and selling them off into smaller funds who can then list them on PaperStack or come right to PaperStack and say, here, I got 1,200 assets I need to liquidate. Can you help me? And so it's a huge opportunity. And if people don't know about it, it's not too late to learn about it. It's never too late. Like you need to be, if you're just finding out about it, get some education, start studying it, immerse yourself in it, because it's just there's a wave coming and you want to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely 100%. You know me pretty well. We go back and that's why my partner and I started the Note Investor University, right? It's because people have to have a good place to come to learn for an affordable price and really get into this, because everybody who's either a stock market investor, a landlord, somebody who is in cryptocurrencies or whatever it may be, you have to know about these discounted mortgage notes. It's something that I think should be a part of everyone's portfolio if you're at all diversifying into anything. So yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that people learn pretty quickly, guys, right? And I'll let Brett chime in on this, right? Because I think Brett, are you newer to the note industry than your partner, right? But here,
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's what we find out when we're new, because notes are very intriguing when you talk about the good stuff, right? But they're not all rainbows and butterflies. And like you said, it takes a lot of education. One of the things is because the due diligence is one thing, and that's heavy, right? Due diligence is half the battle in this game, but also just the note buying process for someone who's new to this, it's not like real estate. You talked about a document earlier in the radio show called an assignment of mortgage. People don't even know what that is. But would you agree with me, guys, that for new people coming in, it sounds all like rainbows and butterflies, but when they get into actually pulling the trigger and acquiring a note, going through the due diligence and acquisition process, it can be very overwhelming and very difficult.
So, yeah, it definitely is. It's one of those things where it's easy if you don't have, an automated workflow engine, which is what PaperStack has. It's easy to miss a step. And I mean, how many times do you see new people on the platform that are coming to buy their first note that actually make it through the transaction because of PaperStack?
it's a lot. I mean, that's one of the things that we like about it, is because it's made for people who have never bought a note and people who are very active in notes. It's an automated to-do list, and we've had people that at conferences have come up and said, I was in a transaction, I never bought a note before, I saw who I was buying it from once I saw the vesting profile, and I got scared because the guy's big player, and he's like, I knew if I just follow the steps, I'll make it. And it's great because they're like, hey, I'm getting this at a better price than I would if I would have bought it someplace else. And the hedge fund's like, hey, I'm selling you at a better price because I'm jumping over a step in the ladder, and so I'm going just to the retail buyer instead of the next person down the waterfall. So that was something we didn't plan for, but it's definitely pretty neat to see.
Yeah,
that was kind of the reason, guys. That was the reason why you came up with the idea for PaperStack, right?
Correct. It was, well, we wanted a way to liquidate our own assets. We had a fund that was buying and selling, and we were buying them non-performing, turning them performing. And we were like, well, okay, how do I sell this? So I reach out to a broker. It's like, well, let's make a marketplace and let's add some, technology to it. So there's some functionality in there that I don't like to do the repetitive tasks. I'm a big fan of like, look, if I have to do the same task 2 or 3 times in a day, I don't want to do that. Let's find some technology that can do it for me. So I do it once and that's it. And so that's what we created PaperStack, as a way of really just to liquidate our own assets. And after a couple months, people started creating their own accounts and started uploading their own assets to sell. And that's kind of when we knew, like, okay, a lot of people, there's a real need for this other than just an internal tool. And so we did a ground up rebuild of the platform.
Yeah, that was before we had all the automation parts, where it was basically that for the person that had never done it, it still would have been great that you found it online, but it still did not walk you through the steps. And that's where we decided with the next one, it's got to be, do this first, do that, do this, do this. It's a workflow.
It's an automated workflow. And so now we're actually starting development on an enterprise version of the platform that the large institutions can use. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
I've been excited watching your growth, right, guys? I met you 3 or 4 years ago or something, it seems like now, and I've watched the growth and I've watched the development of PaperStack and all of the beautiful user-friendly things that you're adding. continuously to make the experience a lot better for not only the note seller or somebody who wants to sell one of these mortgage notes to cash out, but also the buyer. Not only new buyers, which is just absolutely important to have things automated and easy to follow when they're new, but even experienced. Those of us who are experienced, PaperStack certainly makes it easy.
Cool, right?
Yeah, it does. I guess we're kind of fortunate that we've done several transactions prior to PaperStack in the retail space, and I know we had a good idea of what the needs were. And then as we started doing transactions and trades with larger institutions, as you know, we launched the fund and we were able to buy, we had more capital to work with. You start buying pools, you kind of realize that, man, they have a lot of the same problems up at when you're buying 100 assets as when you're buying 2. So how can we fix those problems? How can we make it and streamline the process? Because the reality is, if you can save off 20 to 30% of the time it takes to close a loan or to close a deal, that's real money. It's real time. It gets you moving on to the next one. Mm-hmm. And so that's, we're really excited about not only what we've done, but man, I wish I could talk about some of the stuff we have coming up because it will blow your mind.
So you know what? I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that. Let's say you wish you could talk about the stuff you got coming. Well, then I'm gonna grant your wish and make it come true, Rick Allen. So Brett Berkey, Rick Allen from PaperStack, folks, PaperStack, paperstack.com. And this is a great place where you can go and buy notes. Only after you're educated. So go to the Note Investor University to get that education, and then get on over to PaperStack and buy yourself a note and start learning this investment vehicle. We're going to let you guys talk about what you have coming up. We're going to let you expound upon how this PaperStack is going to be growing and growing. And I'm going to let you do that right after this commercial break. Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career
because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. And this is Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor. We are back with my men from paperstack.com. These guys are awesome. Brett Berkey, let's go. Rick Allen. We're going to talk about paperstack.com. Folks listening, PaperStack.com, paperstack.com, right, fellas? And this is a place where people can go online to either sell a note that they're holding if they want to cash out now, or it's a place where we can go as investors to have an easy process to be able to purchase one of these mortgage notes, become the bank, and collect monthly cash flow from real estate without owning the real estate, guys, right? So give them an idea again for the listeners. Maybe there's somebody new that popped on. They haven't heard us the whole time, but what's PaperStack, right? A place to buy and sell notes. As simple as that.
Right. And then an automated workflow engine. So place is the marketplace, but also the place to close the deal. So think of it in the real estate space. We're, the market, the MLS plus the title company.
Yeah. So kind of the platform, you can go on there, you can list your notes for sale. We have over 10,000 registered users on the platform. You can go on there as a buyer, set up, save searches, have the platform notify you whenever something meets your criteria, and you can start making an offer or just opening up a chat. And what happens is it takes you and it puts you into your own transaction or your own sort of walled garden, to where all the conversations you have with your counterparty or the seller or the buyer, it all is on a timeline. So you can go back and review everything that's happened. You can respond via email and it puts it right on your timeline. You can even make a phone call on our platform. It'll record the phone call, it'll transcribe it, and it'll put everything right on your platform.
But also, why is that important? So one of the reasons why those things are important is because
great. So you have a digital audit trail,
right?
Or if you're working with a large team, you can have a team account. That way, everybody can see what's going on with this individual transaction. And it doesn't have to be an individual transaction. You could have 20 notes in a pool as part of your transaction. So everything takes place right on the platform. PaperStack generates purchase sale agreements for you. We provide transfer documents of the loan or the note and the mortgage, so the assignment and the allonge. We have escrow built into the platform. So if you're not comfortable sending your money right to the seller, you can utilize our escrow. And then we have collateral audit baked into the platform. So the seller, instead of sending the collateral directly to the buyer, they would send it to a third-party auditor who will go through and review the collateral and see what is actually wet ink and what are copies. So it's an all-encompassing platform that allows you to go buy or sell a note 100% digitally online, and it has a bunch of safety features like escrow and audit built into it.
So let's talk about them for the folks listening, right? Because I know we want to really concentrate on the investor side of it for people that want to invest into and buy a note. And PaperStack's awesome for that. But I think we forget too much to talk about the sellers, right? Some people are holding on to these mortgage notes and they're collecting monthly payments. They want cash now, but golly, they don't know many people maybe in their circle of influence that buy notes, or maybe they're not in the note business. And it's difficult to go, where do they advertise? Hey, I have this note for sale. And so it's so great. I'm going to let Brett come in. Brett, it's an amazing, website, and it's an amazing place for investors to go and buy a note. But talk a little bit, Brett, on what's the process if I hold on to a mortgage note and I want to use PaperStack to sell it? What does that look like?
They just come and first register an account, and then there's a button that says become a seller. We kind of do some vetting to make sure that the person actually selling the note is the actual note holder. We want to make sure that everyone that's selling is actually legit. And so they just go through that process. They'll get approved. Once they get approved, we have a couple ways they can get their assets on the platform. There's something called a tape format that they can put all their assets in, or we work with a couple of different servicers, and they can just send it over to a private email address, and it'll automate their listing area. Or they just have one or two, just create a listing, and they can add all the details, add photos, add the collateral file, place it public or private, matters which ones they want people to see and not to see, add pay history, and then just set it live, and they'll get a lot of action usually, because if it's a good note, like he said, there's 10,000 buyers that are on there that have safe searches set up. And as soon as that note hits the platform, they all get emails saying, hey, this meets your buying criteria. And they usually jump on there. And I've had deals go first day.
I've sold deals that have gone in the first hour.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some guy came one time and had a bunch of land notes in Colorado. And we were talking on the phone. He's like, do you think this is going to sell? And I was looking at it just like, it looks like rocks to me. And then there was just a pool of Colorado notes, and called me back later that day. And he's like, I'm in a transaction. I'm already closing this pool of notes. So I was like, wow, okay. So, but people have different buying criteria.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of important. People, they say, well, are these bad notes? Is that why they're selling them? And there's not, Patrick. I mean, you guys know, you've been buying and selling notes. People will sell notes for any number of reasons. Maybe they bought it as a non-performing note. they turned it performing, and they're just going to make the, it's now got higher value as a note, just like you're flipping a house. You buy one that needs to be painted and new carpet and a new kitchen. Well, once you do that, you sell it for a higher value. It doesn't make it a bad house. Well, the same thing happens with notes. There's a lot of reasons why people sell the notes. Sometimes they hit hardships and they say, look, I just need to cash out. I need to put the money elsewhere. Or maybe they're winding down some of our institutional sellers, which, are hedge funds, stuff like that. They've been managing a fund and now they're winding down the fund and this is what's left over. They have to sell it.
Or the other ones are, a lot of times the big funds will buy a big pool, and some of these notes that get thrown in there, they just have to be in there, and they don't meet the buy box of what fits their criteria for their fund. They just throw it onto the site, and that note's great, but it's just legally they're not allowed to have it in their portfolio, so they just let it go.
Yeah, another one is we have a lot of elderly folks who, in their 80s, they're listing stuff for sale on the platform, or giving them to brokers to do it for them, because they say, look, I've got 30 notes. I'm a realist. I know the end is kind of near. I don't want my kids to have to deal with this. I'm just going to turn them all into cash. So I set it aside, and they can go ahead and then divide up the cash and not have to worry about the headaches of the notes.
So you're correct, a million reasons.
Right? We can go down the list and talk about that forever on
a million reasons.
Yeah.
Here's the idea though, folks. Maybe there's listeners, right? Whether it's on KCAA or iHeart or any of the other platforms where this radio show is listened to, that you may be one of those people. You may be in a situation where you're holding on to a note. You're holding on to a promissory note that's backed by land or backed by a single family home or something like that. And you may want to cash out. There's a reason maybe you want your cash now. And so you can get on PaperStack, and I want to tell them, folks, just by analogy, it's as easy as Craigslist. Okay. Just go on there, open yourself an account, and go through the steps to post your note. Post your note up for sale on there. And there's a lot of hungry buyers. It's like casting a chicken leg into a lake of piranha, if you would, isn't it, guys? You'll get some juice. There will be somebody that will want to buy your note off of paperstack.com. And guys, again, PaperStack without the K. Can you spell it for them in case they want to go visit?
PAPERSTAC.com.
PAPERSTAC.com, paperstack.com. Okay, guys, they're building the number one place, the number one online portal website, if you would, a place to buy and sell these mortgage notes. And I preach it because I think it's one of the best investment vehicles that there are. And so somebody maybe goes to the Note Investor University, they get all this education, they figure out how to buy these notes, they know what they're doing, they get on PaperStack as an investor now. And so there's all these folks that are posting notes through you guys. There's how many notes do you have for sale right now on your platform? I bet you know the number. I bet Brett knows.
We had close to 185, 200, somewhere in there. It varies. Yeah,
some just dropped off. We don't let stuff sit stagnant. So after 30 days, if the note has not been updated, it goes into a expired. And so someone had their notes expired. I know who it is, but yeah, they need to update the stuff so it stays fresh if you want fresh data. But usually between like 250 to 150, 100.
Sure. Bottom line, you got close to 200 assets that people are wanting cash now for. They're posting these assets, these cash flowing notes on PaperStack. There's almost 200 of them on there, guys. So as an investor, once you know what you're doing and you get educated by somewhere, somehow, reading books, YouTube, doing a coaching group like the NIU, whatever it is, but get your education so that you can be confident that you can go and work with these guys at PaperStack if there's an asset on their website that you like. Right? It might be a great investment for you, and learn how to go on there as an investor and buy one of these things, man. You got to own a mortgage note in your portfolio. So someone goes, Brett, to your website and they say, hey, I'm going to start looking through 200 notes and try to find one that I like. What's the process like when they find one that they like? What do they do?
Message the seller, ask for, hey, we always tell them to do the simple stuff up front. Look at the seller comments. Read that. That's a story. Look at the note details and the property details. There you can see, how much is on the UPB, when the last payment date is, maturity dates, all those things that should not be asked up front. You can get a lot of data there. You can see if they have files included with it. Once you start a transaction, just go look in the files tab. You can do a lot of armchair due diligence just off the bat. And then once you need to actually ask for more stuff, just tell the seller, hey, you have this type of information. Most are very willing to give because they're trying to sell the note, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, they all know the drill. We call it a transaction. Some people get scared of, hey, I'm not starting a transaction, just starting a conversation. Same thing. You know, it's just the same thing.
One of the things that I really like about that platform, guys, to be honest, when I first got on PaperStack, I guess when it was a very brand new website, and again, you guys have come so far. I've enjoyed watching it and watching it develop, but the communication between buyer and seller, right? When you're dealing with note brokers in this industry, oftentimes the note broker wants to hold that information back and relay information and this and that and the other. But, you know, when you're buying and selling these mortgage notes, it's very important that you be able to talk to the owner, the principal seller of that asset. And what a great thing you guys have done through PaperStack to be able to allow that to happen between buyer and seller, and PaperStack sort of stays out of the way until need be and when the transaction needs to take place. And the buyer and seller can negotiate with each other all day long, right? They're having a certain asking price when they post the note for sale on PaperStack, just like somebody has a certain asking price of a Harley motorcycle they're posting for sale on Craigslist. You can go there, and if you like it, you can get right in contact with the person selling that asset, and you can bargain with them. You can give them an offer. You can ask them for information. You can go back and forth to make sure in the end, through your personal investment criteria, through your due diligence standards, then you're able to decipher whether this is an asset that you actually wire money on and want to take ownership of. And PaperStack does an awesome job of helping facilitate all of that communication. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to take our last commercial break here for just a few minutes. And if you want to know more about these notes and how to buy notes off PaperStack, create passive cash flow, then do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message. Bye-bye.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections. Hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken.
Hey folks, welcome back. Thanks for sitting tight. And this is Patrick Franz, the Note Mentor on the Real Men of Real Estate radio show. We're back with Brett Berkey. We're back with PaperStack. We're back. Guys, it's paperstack.com. It's a place where you can buy and sell these mortgage notes. It's a great platform. And the owners are here. Rick Allen, Brett, let's get back into this. Okay. So we were just talking about before the break, buying a note, and you're saying it's so easy. You go there, you find a note that you like. The website is going to help facilitate things where they can get the due diligence done. They have direct communication with the note seller. And in the end, if all of that works out, how does the actual transaction take place? Who do they wire the money to? And you know, you said the documents and things. How does that transaction finally take place?
Sure. So we have like different checkout options, really. It's like whatever what are you comfortable with? Would you like to send the money directly to the seller? Would you like the seller to send the collateral file directly to you? If so, we have the platform is very flexible. It allows you to do that. Most of the time, I want to say it's around 88 to 90% of the time, people opt for using escrow and audit. So that, even if they've done business with people in the past, like, you know what, it's just safer if we go ahead as a buyer, I'm going to wire my money to escrow. You send the money to the collateral audit company. Once the collateral audit company provides you with the audit, which is going to, like I said, verify if the documents are original or if they're copies. And then they're going to provide you with color scanned copies of it. You, as a buyer, get a look at that. And if everything checks out, you sign a disbursement agreement. The seller then executes the transfer documents, the assignment, the allonge, and the deal's done. And it makes it to where you can do business with somebody you've never met before and not have to send them money directly, which to me was culture shock when I bought my first note. I was like, you want me to send money to them before they send me the collateral file? Like, what kind of scam are you doing? But no, that's just how the industry works.
Yeah. And that's why we offer coaching at the Note Investor University, right? It's not a direct parallel with real estate. So a lot of real estate investors get in, they understand how real estate deal get closed, the documents and all that. And then they get into notes and they're kind of blindsided by going, whoa, this is totally different. This is a different way to transact, different paperwork, different terminology, different timing, and different rules. Can you imagine you wire somebody $50,000 from your retirement account through the air, but it takes 30 days for you to ever receive anything that proves you own anything, right? Sometimes it takes 30 days to receive a collateral file from a seller and you're going, I wired the money, there's nothing happening, right? So yeah, that's normal, isn't it? That's normal.
It is normal with paper stack. That's not what happens. You get to see the actual piece of paper that shows that you own that before money is actually ever released, which is huge. And the collateral file is then generally sent out. We pay for all FedEx shipping. It's sent out 2-day shipping, so you should have it within 3 to 5 days. But yeah, it's nice knowing that there's a platform out there, because when I got into it was an $8,400 kind of like, hey, well, that's, I don't like to lose money, but I'm like $8,400. We'll see how this show rolls, and it worked out. But it's it was a little sketchy to send money out to somebody I never met before.
Yeah, no doubt. And so that's what I love about you guys. This paper stack has evolved from experience in being note investors. It's not like, you had experience as a computer tech designer and you just saw an opportunity in the note space and decided to, do a website there. I know that you guys do have that brilliance in you, but it's like, listen, it's coming from guys. This platform is coming from guys who are experienced note investors. They know the ups and downs, they know the hardships, they know the difficulties, and they're trying to take paper stack, which again is paper stack with just a C at the end, guys, but paperstack.com. They're trying to make it the best, easiest platform in the industry where people can trade, buy, and sell these mortgage notes, right? And it's very appreciated because you guys are doing a great job. Brett, chime in real quick. We've got about 4 minutes left. Just chime in real quick. Upcoming things. You said you're adding things to the platform, making it even better and bigger.
And also we got to mention we do have a technical guy, Mike McClin, who's our co-founder and CTO, and he wrote every line of code on the platform. So Brett and I are the show ponies that are out here on the talking and doing everything. But Mike, he's got some unbelievable brains, and he is the most talented developer I've ever met. So he's a rare find, a unicorn. So I would be remiss if we didn't mention Mike.
Credit where credit is due. Hey,
when we start talking about the brilliance of paper stack, he's a large part of it.
What's his full name again? We'll give him some more props.
Mike McClin.
Mike McClin, and he's written all lines of code and is the brainiac behind the two maniacs.
Yeah, I tell him, I say, this is what we like, this is what we need. I needed to do this or that, and then Mike goes into the hole and comes out with paper stack.
He's there right now.
Yeah,
he's actually working on the next iteration of what's coming next.
Great segue, like we've done this before.
Which is, we have a platform that's going to be like a sister company, which is going to be called noteclosings.com. It's live right now. Some people want to have their own kind of version of a paper stack, but don't like we have where buyer or seller wants to use paper stack's closing engine, but they don't want either the buyer or the seller to know about the other notes on the platform. And so this is a way for someone to do deals of their own. We use the whole same technology.
Or just sometimes people are like, look, I've already got the seller and I'm the buyer.
Right.
The note wasn't on the paper stack marketplace. But I do want to close it with you. Can we do something like that? And so that we had that request so many times. We said, yeah, we're going to make a closing product. So you don't have to have your note just in our ecosystem. You can use it if you've got your own trade desk and you're just looking for a way to power your own trade desk with our technology. We've got a solution for you.
Yep, that's coming real soon.
That's coming very soon.
Real soon. Hopefully by the end of this month, we'll see.
Yep.
And then after that, we're working on enterprise, and we have a partners portal that we've been working on right after that. So it's kind of partners portal where you'll be able to be on the site and order documents that you need, O&E reports, BPOs, whatever, straight from the platform. Just click a button. The good thing about that is hopefully, with the amount of volume we do, we are working in volume discounts that we'll be passing on to people that are on the platform. And so that way you don't have to have multiple accounts with different vendors. You just click, boom, done. That's right after then.
Another thing, the enterprise transaction, the enterprise version of the platform is going to make it to where people can buy and sell $100 million or $200 million portfolios. The great thing for the retail space is it's twofold. One, he speaks of volume discounts. When they're buying and ordering their due diligence from our platform, it's going to give us a bigger volume discount that the retail marketplace can benefit from. But also the retail marketplace, then it's going to see an influx of inventory that doesn't meet people's buying criteria when they're doing a $100 million trade. We've got a place for them to liquidate that down into the retail space. So that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And
crushing
then
it. You're crushing it is what you are, guys. You're crushing it.
Machine learning.
You want to tell me the machine learning one?
Yeah, we're working on some machine learning stuff that's going to provide, we're going to be able to capture, obviously we're capturing all the data for all the transaction that happens, and we'll be able to provide a Zestimate-like valuation on notes that are on the platform for sale or that have sold by just going back and looking at past transactions and future transactions to give you kind of like, look, here's a rough idea of what this is worth based off of all the inputs that we can put in there, on top of all the inputs like that we're getting, like, last pay date, what's the actual Zestimate value, what does Zillow say the house is worth, what's the unpaid principal balance. On top of all that stuff, you can start looking at like market conditions and interesting stuff. So that's kind of the
epic.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, guys, thanks for being on the show today. I really appreciate you guys coming on to share about PaperStack. Again, folks, PaperStack, a place to buy and sell these mortgage notes. It's PaperStack, PaperStack without the K, paperstack.com. Patrick Franz, the note mentor here on KCAA with the Real Men of Real Estate radio show, folks. And thanks for listening in. I wish everybody the best on this happy Sunday. Bye-bye.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.